Hey, this is Jesse with Create This. Today is January 9th, 2021. I received yesterday this crate for a iron and oak 30-ton vertical horizontal log splitter with torsion axle. I ordered this with my own money. They didn't send this to me for free or anything for the channel. I just need a log splitter. They sent it to me and I ordered it fully loaded. So it comes with log splitter cover. What other options did I get on it? I believe I got the oil change hose and the liftgate delivery. My driveway is fairly sloped and they brought it down on a pallet jack. It was pretty nice delivery service. All right, so I think there's one thing in here. I left this out overnight. It's been not like pouring rain, but it's been kind of a drizzle. And I left it out because the first thing that I noticed was that it's pretty much entirely covered in plastic, which is pretty awesome because I don't actually have any way to move this off of the pallet other than disassembling everything. I don't own a pallet jack. This piece here is the only piece that wasn't wrapped in plastic. Not actually sure what's in here, so let's go ahead and open this up. I'll bring the camera a little closer. I apologize for the mess in the background. I had a garage door fail a few weeks ago, and then we found some termite damage under the fascia when the installer came out for the site inspection. So I have to have my entire garage door reframed, but you know, called some contractors. It's still around the holidays, so it's kind of hard to get people to come out for quotes. I'll get it taken care of though, temporary. Okay, so this appears to be the oil change hose. Drain It, easy, quick, clean, end of messy oil changes. So I don't actually know what that's for, but I'm sure it'll be handy. Now, I have never unboxed or assembled a log splitter before. I've actually been using a splitting maul for about a decade now. I keep getting this wood that doesn't split easily with a manual splitter, so that's why I decided to buy this. But anyway, let's break this crate down. All right, let's just pay our internet cat tax here for a minute. So this is a little bit. He's going to be helping me with the project today, maybe, or maybe he'll get a squirrel. I'm not sure. Isn't he a handsome bastard though? Look at him. All right, let's get started. You're not going to like the noise. You're not going to like it. Here we go. Break these boards down into some good kindling for my wood stove later. There may be a more efficient way to break all of this down. I don't know. I'm looking at it. I don't see any obvious like lid or anything. It looks like they kind of built it in place on the crate. So whatever. Almost got a nail in my toe. I suppose I could also use a Sawzall. That might work too. It's 34 degrees Fahrenheit here, and so 2 degrees above freezing. I can't tell if I'm warming up or not yet. I feel like I need to go run around the neighborhood. Looks like the plastic's stapled down. Comes right off. Got a couple of boxes here. We'll bring the camera around. These appear to be wheel covers, fenders. Let's see what this guy is. Razor blade's dull. That is some sort of big, huge metal guard thing. And this is what I was looking for. These appear to be the instructions. That's what I need. 24, it says. There's another owner's manual. All right, good stuff. Hydraulic hose or hydraulic hose armor. And some more metal guards. I'm sure they go somewhere. We interrupt this unboxing to bring you the most handsome white cat in the world on top of a purple 1972? I don't remember the year. 1972 Triumph Spitfire. Doesn't he look gorgeous? Are you camera shy? You don't like looking at the camera, do you? What's up with that, man? I don't like looking at the camera either. All right, and here I have laid out on the ground all of the parts that I got out of the boxes. So, some sort of a tray thing, some sort of a brackety thing. Looks like wheel covers, more brackety things, some sort of a guard, hydraulic hose armor or soft hose or something. I'm not sure what that is. And another tray, and that tray looks like the identical copy of the first one at first glance. So all of those were in boxes. And this is what we have left on the crate. We have a instruction manual for an engine guard. Kind of weird that you need a manual for an engine guard, but it seems to be the thing. And then the actual owner manual, which is fairly thick. I'm going to read into that in a minute. And this is the Honda motor engine. Looks to be like maybe this part is the hydraulic tank or I think probably the hydraulic tank. And also possibly the torsion axle. Looks like maybe these are wheel hubs here. And if we move the tripod here, come around, we got our wheels. If we come around a little further, try not to bump into anything. Looks like we've got our beam and our hydraulic cylinder. So this is the hydraulic cylinder, and that's the splitting wedge. And this guy underneath it all, the blue guy there, is the beam, which looks quite beefy. So, sweet. All right, I gotta read some instructions, and I'll be back to move on to the next step. Okay, it took a little bit of doing to figure out where the assembly instructions were. They give you a couple of manuals here. So, let's see. Too many things in my hands. So what they give you is the owner's manual for the engine guard, installing the engine guard. So that's one thing. They give you the owner's manual for the Honda motor. So that's fine. I'm sure that's from Honda itself. And then this is the owner's manual for the splitter. And if you start reading it from the front, then you might get a little discouraged because they talk about like initial setup here, but they don't talk about assembly. And they talk about things like adding oil. And as far as I can tell, mine didn't actually come with any oil. So I'm gonna have to buy oil separately. But we're not even worried about that yet. We're just getting it off the crate and trying to assemble the damn thing. So in the back of the manual, you have a bag of contents guide and a little schematic of the various components here. So that's helpful. And then you do actually get assembly instructions. So we're going to start with step one, attaching the wheels to the hubs. And I think in order to do this, I'm going to have to get the hydraulic tank and the axle assembly off of the crate. So we're going to do that first. Okay, I took a break for about an hour and put on another layer of thermal underwear so I'm a little warmer. And okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to put some wheels on these hubs. This whole thing, like the engine assembly is attached to the tank here. So I think what I'm going to try to do is slide it backward enough that I can get one of the wheels on, and I might have to jack it up or something, we'll see. So let's see, I don't want anything to get damaged as I slide it off here. I'm not sure why though. Just gonna go for it. All right, so I need this wheel to go on here. Let me get a lug wrench. Looks like a 12 millimeter. For some reason they're on there tight. That doesn't really make any sense, does it? Yeah, got one loose. All right. That's two. Three. How do I get that fourth one though? Let's see. There we go. Got it. All right, so that's one. That was entirely too complicated. Let's get that tire on, and we'll do the other one. All right, valve stem out. Obviously. Or maybe that's not obvious, I don't know. Nothing common about common sense, eh? All right. All right, so the pattern here is 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're gonna tighten these up in stages. I am not going to use a torque wrench because I'm a rebel. No, I'm just too lazy to go get it. I've got one. I'll let you know if that's my undoing. I doubt it'll be a big deal though. All right, and then this is probably the final tightening here. But we'll do it one more time, just for the hell of it. Okay, here's our second tire. And let's just have a look at the hub here. See if there's anything on it, like oil that I need to clean off. There's a little bit on there. Not sure why. And I think I'm going to need this to come back quite a bit further, so. Might be enough. Did I say 12 before? I think I meant 21. Yeah, I meant 21 millimeter. Sorry. I can't read, I'm dyslexic. Okay, that's one. That's two. Trying real hard not to get the spiky part into my body. That's three. Oh, there's four. Hooah! There has to be an easier way to do that. Surely I am being a dumbass. There's probably like a freaking tool or something. I don't know. That's ridiculous. Impact wrench would probably work as well. Anyway, not buying an impact wrench just to get some lug nuts off though. That's stupid. The second tire of fun. All right, second tire's on. I may cut this from the video, but imagine a world of sentient trees watching this video where we on Earth develop tools to split their bodies down the center using hydraulic pressure. Torture machines almost, except they're already dead, so butchering machines, I guess. Anyway. Ah, that's the kind of crap that goes through my head when I'm spinning a wrench. Okay, so that's like wrench hand tight, but now I think I need to lower it down on the ground to tighten it all the way so that it stops spinning. So let me get some stuff out of the way. Okay, so what I'm gonna try to do is I'm gonna try to push it off onto the ground, but I don't want the engine to flop around like a wet noodle, so I'm gonna try to be careful about that. Let's see. I think I should be able to just lift it up like this. Yeah, there we go. Okay. All right. All right, that should be good enough, I think. Okay, step 2, tow bar assembly to axle assembly. Slide the tow bar assembly into the beam mount on top of the axle assembly. So we're gonna slide the tow bar into the beam mount right there. If you purchased a light kit for this unit, follow the instructions for the kit before installing the tow bar. I did not purchase a light kit, so I don't think that that's a thing for me. Lock the jack in the down position on a flat surface and adjust the tow bar, adjust so the tow bar sits level. So that's the jack right there. Align the holes and install 2 bolts and nuts. Torque 50 foot-pounds. Part number 82632, and it's about that length. So let me see if I can find something that fits that. And I believe that is this dude here. Got 2 of those. And these giant, what does that say on them? HN? Giant bolts here with nylock nuts, integrated nylock nuts. Cool. All right, so this will be nice because then we'll be able to roll it around afterwards and it'll be a little bit easier to deal with, hopefully. Okay, so I'm gonna roll this backward very carefully to get it off of the unit here, off of the crate. Very carefully. Oh, it's heavy. It's even heavy with the wheels. It's a little frustrating. Just need to take a step. Okay, that's doable. Spin that around very gently. Put it down. There we go. All right, there's the tow beam. And it appears to be upside down as it ships. There's our jack right here. So we're gonna lower the jack. Hopefully I'm not gonna whack myself with it here. Oh, there we go. There we go. Put that like this. And then this would probably be easier with 2 people because I'm gonna have to lift up that part and slide in the beam at the same time. All right, I'm gonna attempt this by myself and probably fail. Almost certainly going to fail. I don't know how I'm gonna lift both of these at the same time. So this is gonna be going in there like this. Like that. And then if we lift this up with one hand, can we slide it in? Probably not. No. All right. I'm gonna go get my partner's son. I need 2 people. Okay, so I've enlisted my partner's son, Parker, and he's gonna help me, and I'm gonna show you what you're gonna do, Parker. I'm gonna lift up that engine, you know, because it's on the wheels, right? So I'm gonna lift it up so that it's like horizontal, parallel to the ground. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna take this beam here and you're gonna slot it in to that mortise, for lack of a better word, whatever the hell that is. All right. And you're gonna be quick about it because it's heavy. All right, here we go. Let's see. All the way in. Try to get it straight. It's got to go all the way back. There you go. Further, further. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Right there. And then hold it. And I'm going to put these guys in right there. And one right there. Yeah, that is the correct way. They go from the side with the fill cap here. So what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna have you push these in, okay, just with your finger, and I'm gonna kind of lift up here to relieve the pressure so that they go in. There we go, okay, perfect. All right, that's it, thank you. Much easier when you have somebody to help. Okay, and the next step is to tighten down these bolts. And I believe it is a 19mm. I don't know if they're building this thing in metric or if I'm just reaching for metric wrenches and they fit. I don't know what it is in SAE, sorry. But 19 seems to be a pretty good fit for this. So, ooh, she's rolling on me. Need a wheel chock. And the one in the back as well. All right. All right, and they do list 3/4 inch socket and 3/4 inch wrench for this step, so I am indeed just reaching for metric tools. So 3/4 19mm, same thing I guess. All right, let's go on to the next step. Beam assembly. Caution, beam assembly is top heavy. Carefully stand beam assembly in the vertical position on solid level ground. Assistance from a second person is required, so you do not get squished. Make sure beam assembly is standing on flat level area. Have another person steady the beam to prevent it from tipping over. The beam assembly weighs approximately 350 pounds and will cause bodily injury if it falls on someone. Wow, that is quite heavy. I am only 185, I believe, so that's almost twice as heavy as me. That's crazy. Let's see what step 4 is. Carefully align the axle assembly to the beam assembly. Have a person hold the beam in place while maneuvering any assembly. Align holes in the pivot bracket with holes in the bottom of the beam. Insert the 2 bolts as shown. Add 2 nuts. This is the pivot bracket, and we are putting in 2 bolts through the pivot bracket on the back there, I'm guessing. And 2 nuts. Huh, interesting. Okay, cool, let's do it. Okay, so I have swallowed my pride and enlisted the 2 teenage boys in the household here. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this off of the pallet here, and then we'll get the pallet out of the way, and then maybe we'll put like a furniture dolly underneath it and roll the beam over here and stand it up. Hang on. Just, there we go. I think we put the heavy end on the dolly because I don't want to carry the heavy end very far. All right, you ready?
I suppose.
Yeah, because I'm not. Oh. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Ah.
Right? Yeah, in a way.
You think this end's heavier? Maybe.
I mean, I could get it if you need me to. I just...
It might be. I don't know. Wow. All right, let me see if I have another furniture dolly. There's no way I'm carrying that. Yeah, get that out of the way. Excellent plan. Wow, that's heavy. Okay, ready? Don't let it slide into the truck. Let's see. Like move that this way, I guess, so that we can. And then I'm gonna lift this up off the dolly. Jack, can you? I'm gonna stand over it like this, and if you can just slide the dolly out of the way. All right, ready? 1, 2. Oi. Yeah, we can all 3 lift it. Let's do that. That'll work. Okay, ready? 1, 2, and okay. Excellent. Excellent. And then we're just going to spin it. And if we can just kind of walk it right up there.
I'm doing virtually nothing, but
That's okay. I mean, I'm doing virtually nothing too. That's why we got 3 people.
so Parker's doing everything.
Okay, and then Jack, come over here. You're gonna stay on this side and just hold it steady, okay? And I'm gonna move the camera so that the camera can see. You guys are just gonna stabilize that, and I'm gonna try to move this thing around so that we can get it bolted in.
To get it in there, we have to stand this up properly. Like that end has to be elevated a little bit more.
Yeah, right? What's up with that? I guess it needs to be jacked up. So there's a jack here. I guess you just crank it. Tell me when it's straight. Yeah.
I'd say that's good.
You think?
Yeah.
All right, yeah, cool. And then that. Yeah, can you slide it this way a little bit? Like just kind of walk it a little bit. Right? There you go, a little more. That's good, right there, stop. And so I'm gonna put the bolt in from the bottom, I guess. Okay. And lean it just a tad the other way. Right there. Come on, buddy. Okay, that's 1. No, I got it. All right. And then get 2 in here. Sorry about the cold. You guys, your hands has to be freezing.
I'm actually in my hoodie, so it's fine.
That makes sense. Okay, and then they want that to be finger tight, which I'm not real sure what that means. I feel like I should tighten that down a little bit. So I don't even know how I'm gonna get a wrench in there. I guess like that. That works just fine.
So your entire YouTube channel is just you recording the shit that you do?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Me hurting myself, recording the shit that I do, me swearing, occasional cats, that sort of thing.
Me swearing.
All right, so they don't want this to be super tight. Don't let go. Like keep your hands on there because it can still fall this way until we get it set up properly.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a lot heavier.
I mean, I thought, okay, what I was saying earlier is I knew we had to hold it standing up, but I thought we had to make it not be on the ground.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, that would be like nearly impossible. Okay, so just hold that. The next thing that we're going to do is we are going to put the beam rest on it. And so the beam rest is this guy here. And that's going to go up there. Woo! Right? Ignore my horribly shitty porch in the background.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
Ignore this fucking
Well, I'd be mad. That's kind of funny.
All right.
All your viewers just turned us Sorry.
Because of our faces. Yep. I mean, no, guys. No, you guys are beautiful. We're all beautiful inside. Same thing here. So I'm not tightening this up all the way. I'm just making it so that it's nearly tight, right? Like so that the nut contacts the pieces. They're giggling because they're teenagers. I cannot say nut without getting the giggles. Have any of us though, really? Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to very carefully lower this down on the beam rest, I think. So it's going to come down this way. So keep, just keep your eye on those wheel chocks there and make sure they don't move. And right. There we go. Okay, excellent. So this is going to come down like so. Cool. And now I have to finish tightening everything. So thank you, boys. That was all I needed. Appreciate it. Okay, step 6, block and rotate. So we've got the wheels blocked. Adjust the beam rest to ensure horizontal latch indeed latches the beam in the horizontal position. Let me just show you what that means. Okay, so this is the beam rest right here, and this is the beam rest latch. And so the way it works is you pull and you push, and it just keeps the beam from rising when it shouldn't. So the reason why we don't tighten these down all the way, these bolts up here, is so that this will actually mate properly. And so once it's mated, then we can tighten these down all the way. Okay, and torque the fasteners installed in step 4 and 5 to 83 foot-pounds. So I'm actually going to oblige in this case, and I'm going to use a torque wrench to torque these down to 83 foot-pounds. There we go. So hopefully I don't break my torque wrench because I don't have a 1/2-inch 19mm socket. So I am using a, what is that, a 3/8 or something? I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't break. Okay, there we go. There's 83 on that one. I'll do the other side next. So in these back bolts, I'm using the box wrench on the back underneath, and I find that it actually fits if you just have it kind of at an angle, kind of going off in that direction there. Verify that the latch still works. It does appear to. It's a little tight. It could maybe use being greased. Step 7, high pressure supply hose. Rotate splitter to vertical position and latch the vertical latch. Remove plastic plug from pump outlet with pliers. Plastic plug is the outermost fitting, so that's this point down here. Apply thread sealant to hose threads on only one end of the hose. So, I don't know if you can see that or not, but this orange stuff, I'm pretty sure that's thread sealant, so I think it's already on there. It comes like that from the factory. Screw hand-tight high-pressure supply hose end with thread sealant applied into the pump outlet. Okay, so we're going to do that. And then wrench tighten the fitting to 1.5 to 3.0 turns past finger tight position. Properly assembled fittings, total thread engagement should be 3.5 to 6 turns. So I'm guessing there's about 3 turns of finger tight there. Route hose around the tow bar as shown. So they're talking about this. You gotta bring it under and then through. Screw finger tight remaining end of the high pressure supply hose to the valve inlet fitting on the control valve inlet. So that's the control valve over here. Wrench tighten the fitting. So same thing, I'm guessing. Simple enough. I think I'm gonna wait to do this another day. I'm running out of daylight here. I think I'm gonna put the cover on it for now. I've got the wheels chalked, and I'll come back to this probably tomorrow. Here we are the following day. All right, so what I'm doing is I am attaching a hose here and also here. This is a plastic plug, I believe. I've got to figure out how to get that out of there first. Okay, so I spent some time in the garage trying to find a wrench for this, and you know, I've been using metric for this project for a while, so I went with 22 millimeter and 23 millimeter. 22 is too small, 23 is too big, just slightly. So I also looked at my SAE wrench set, and for SAE I've got a 15/16, which is too big, and I've got a 13/16, which is too small. So it's probably a 7/8, probably, but the instructions call for an adjustable wrench, so I'm just gonna go with that. I've got these, you know, locking adjustable wrenches. I don't like using them because they're not as accurate, but that definitely fits, so we're just gonna go with that. So I don't know if this is a screw fitting or not. You would think it would be a screw fitting, in which case I was going the wrong way the first time because I'm a big dummy. Yeah, it's a screw fitting. Okay. All right, so don't be dumb like me. Do it right. And it looks like there's a little bit of oil in there, so we're gonna need to put something underneath it. So the reason why they wanted me to install this in this fitting first is because there is no nut on this one to turn. So I have to thread the entire pipe into this, and then I can tighten it up on the other side. So I screwed up, I did this in the wrong order. And now I need thread sealant because I've ruined all of the thread sealant on the other end. Great. Okay, it's just one thing after another today. Okay, so my black Sharpie dried out, but I got a brown one, and so there's my mark. So this is hand tightened, and so now we want to do 1.5 to 3 turns. So let's see if we can make that happen. So there's one. That might be as far as we go. That's pretty much 1.5 right there. Okay, it is 1:35 on January 17th, 2021. It's about 48 degrees outside. It's a Sunday. I was gonna come out here yesterday on a Saturday, but temperature was like 40, like low 40s and real windy. Okay, so we have some Loctite 545. This stuff arrived on Tuesday or so, Tuesday or Wednesday. The instructions for it are pretty sparse, but I think you're basically just supposed to put it on the threads and tighten it down. I think you're supposed to skip the first thread. So you can see where we've stripped the material there. Directions: shake bottle well before use, clean and dry parts with Loctite primer. Apply 545 thread sealant to leading threads of male fitting, leaving the first thread without sealant. Apply only 3/4 of a turn. Product does not need to be applied to all threads. Reassemble parts and tighten to recommended torque. So I'm going to skip that first thread. And I'm just going to leave it at that. That might even be too much. Just jiggling it to hand tighten it. Just realized I lost count of how many turns that was. Whatever, we'll just tighten it up. Instructions don't really make sense now, do they? They want 1.5 to 3 turns, but now that I've stripped off that sealant, doesn't really make much sense. So we'll just make it tight. That seems pretty tight. Hopefully that'll do the job. Test it with some cardboard later, make sure that it's not leaking. All right, step 8, low pressure return hose. Place 2 hose clamps on the low pressure return hose. So that's going to be this valve fitting here. Route the low pressure return hose from return filter fitting to valve outlet fitting around tow bar as shown. So this is the return filter fitting right down here. So we're going to route that to the valve outlet fitting. Position and tighten hose clamps approximately 3/8 of an inch from ends of hose. Torque hose clamps to 35 inch-pounds. Unlatch vertical latch and rotate splitter beam to the horizontal position. Check all hoses for kinking or rubbing on sharp metal edges. Loosen, twist, and retighten if necessary. Return to vertical position. Once the hoses are placed correctly and do not kink or rub going to and from the horizontal position, wrap zip ties around both hoses as shown below and tighten. Cut off tail end of zip ties with side cutter. Zip tie there, zip tie there, zip tie there. All right, tools and materials we need for this step. So we've got zip ties, these come with it. These come with the log splitter. Hose clamps, these come with the log splitter. I've got a 10mm deep well socket and ratchet wrench. These do not come with a log splitter. I've got an inch-pound torque wrench because they call for 35 inch-pounds. Does not come with a log splitter. And I've got a side cutter. This is from Harbor Freight, cheap side cutter for the zip ties. So hopefully that's everything we need. Okay, this is the return filter fitting, which interestingly enough does not have a filter on it. I don't remember seeing one with the parts either. Well, I'll have to think about that in a minute. Anyway, so this is the hose, and they say to start on the return filter fitting, and I'm gonna do exactly what they say this time because I learned my lesson. So I'm gonna take my hose clamp here, put it onto my hose, and I'm gonna feed it through right here. So that's gonna go on there. Like so. And our clamp is going to go on right about there. And this is the other end of the hose. Yeah, this is going to come around and come up here and go into this fitting here, which you probably can't see. All right, so here it is on this side. Put this on first. Twist it down. And right there. All right, and I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this one because it doesn't really specify an order. Once it starts getting snug, I will transition to the torque wrench. I say that the clamp should be about 3/8 of an inch from the end of the hose. I'm not gonna measure that, but eyeballing it, it looks okay. All right, switch to the torque wrench. I doubt 35 inch-pounds is really that tight, but we'll see. And let me give you a better angle. So you might not be able to read this, but basically this is an old style torsion torque wrench. They tend to be a little bit more accurate than the mechanical click kind. I like them just because I don't like apparently the mechanical click kind need to be recalibrated all the time, and I don't like dealing with that. So basically the needle should just point to like the 35 when looking at it from, from the front. That is 35, right? Yeah, 35. Okay, so let's see what happens. Go around. I don't think we're anywhere near enough pressure yet. We'll just keep going until it starts looking like it's getting close. We're at about 20 inch-pounds. Not even. 15 to 18. Oh, that's getting close. It's about 25. That's 30, 35, right about there. Yeah, right about there. Okay. I'm just double checking my work here. It seems like it goes through moments of stiffness and moments of not stiffness, so I'm doing it more than once here. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, I'm pretty confident that that's it. And you can see why they ask for the deep socket, because that bolt sticks out pretty far when you clamp it down. Okay, and same thing on the filter fitting here. Switch to the torque wrench. All right, we're going for 35 inch-pounds. Nowhere near close. We're at about 30. Oh, there we go. That was about it right there. Let's see if we can get a better angle of that. So there's 35. I feel like I can go a little tighter because it's not consistent. Okay, that's pretty good right there. All right, and next they want me to open and close it a few times just to make sure that it's not kinking or anything. So we're paying attention to these hoses here. Hopefully they don't kink. You know, that one's kind of hitting the engine body there. I think I'm going to do that one more time, and when I lower it, I'm going to loosen one of the clamps and see if that keeps it from touching the engine over there, the fuel tank. So let's see what happens here. All right, that appears to be 35. So they want one here. These are the biggest zip ties I've ever seen in my life. They're huge. Okay, one there, one here. All right, let's see if that closes properly with the zip ties in place. Seems okay to me. All right, cut them off with the flush cutter. All right, so I checked my user manual, and they definitely list this hydraulic filter as a part number that should come with it. So it's possible that at some point they decided not to ship those because you do have to buy fluid. It's also possible that they just omitted it. I suppose it's also possible that it was in the packaging somewhere and I missed it. You know, I've got footage for like every step of this, so I'll go back through, I'll upload my footage tonight, I'll go back through. It's Sunday, they're not open at the moment, so I can't call them to find out. And if they were supposed to ship me one, I'll get one shipped out. Otherwise, I'll buy one, so no big deal. But we still have a few steps left that I can do today. I think we can fill up the, well, we've got the log tables to install, we've got the wheel guards to install, and we can fill up the Honda engine with oil and stuff like that. So let's just move on to the next step here. All right, step 9, log tables. Rotate the beam assembly to the horizontal position, insert 2 bolts in lower holes in the beam assembly, and install 2 nuts on bolts, leaving them loose enough to install the cradles. So we're installing these cradles here, and we're putting 2 bolts in the lower holes first through the beam and 2 nuts. Slide log tables onto bolts, install upper 2 bolts and 2 nuts, and tighten to 34 foot-pounds instead of inch-pounds. Tools we need: ratchet, torque wrench, 9/16 socket, and 9/16 wrench. So let me grab those. All right, 9/16 wrench, 9/16 socket, and torque wrench. The ratchet is attached to the socket. And as far as hardware goes, we've got these, 4 of those, and then also these, 4 of those. So I think we're all set. Let's get started. First step is the horizontal position. There we go. I think what they want us to do is they want us to put this bolt through here like this and screw the nut on, but not tight, just loose, and then do the same thing with the other bolt. So those are nylock nuts there, and I'm not engaging the nylock. And then I think what they want us to do is they just want us to lift the table up, and it's got slots on the bottom, you can see. So you're just gonna slide those slots down onto the bolts. That's the theory anyway. Problem is when you do that, they just want to fall off. So I feel like you need an extra pair of hands for this. So I'm the kind of guy that doesn't like to ask for help. So I'm gonna try to do this without any help. We'll see if it works. It probably won't. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna slide that on like that, and then I'm gonna put a bolt through the top slot, and I'm just gonna finger tighten the washer or the nut on the other side. Just to hold it on. I'm just gonna do one. I'll do the same thing on the other side. Except I need that nut to come off now. So maybe I can hold it all up and loosen that up. And then slide this one back on. Okay. And then if I push that through and just hand thread the nut on, as the white stripes say, that was all that I needed. Perhaps. All right, and then the same thing with the other bolt on the top. Okay, I don't know why that doesn't want to go in. Holes are not lined up, I guess. Let me look at it from the other side. So, I don't know if there's a good angle for this. But it says to install the upper bolts and tighten. So I think you probably want to tighten the top ones first and then tighten the bottom ones. It's real hard to get a wrench in there. Like they say to use a socket, but I'm not even sure if, I guess it fits, just barely. All right. So now that I've got the top bolts kind of snug, I'm going to start snugging up the ones on the bottom as well. These bottom ones feel like they could use an extension on the ratchet. Yeah, oh yeah, gives you a lot more throw on the bottom ones. That's nice. All right. I'm not even really sure that I'm going to be able to get a torque wrench in there for these top bolts. I think that's kind of, yeah, that's going to be impossible. There's no way to do that. So it's a nice thought, but no, I don't think I will be putting a torque wrench on it. I think, and look, these things are just holding logs, right? So I seriously doubt that it's that important that they're torqued properly. I'm just going to tighten them down. I'm going to crank them down pretty hard. I think that'll be fine. Step 10, fenders. Align holes in fender, fender extender. So these are the fender extenders. And fender mounts on axle assembly. Insert 2 bolts and secure with 2 lock nuts. Torque to 19 foot-pounds. Repeat step for other fender. Seems pretty straightforward. We need a 1/2 inch socket, a 1/2 inch wrench, and it looks like the only parts I have left in the bag. Those guys. 1/2 inch wrench, 1/2 inch socket on a 1/2 inch or on a ratchet. All right, I figured I'd start on this side because it's a little bit easier for me. So all we're doing is we're taking this guy, I believe, putting him like that. And we're taking this guy, we're putting him like that. We're just gonna feed a bolt through, like so. It's a little tight, so I'm actually threading it in. But probably a little bit of force would work as well. Yep, there we go. And then we're going to attach the nut. I believe it said it's a lock nut. It's right here. There's the nylon. All right, cool. All right, feed this one through the same way. And tighten it down by hand. Okay. There's a better view. You see how this is a straight line and then this nut is kind of canted off to the side? It looks to me like the bead of the weld has gotten in the way. Not really sure what to do about that. I don't want to grind it down because this is a high pressure vessel, so, or at least I think it's a high pressure vessel. So I really don't want to like remove material. I'm just going to tighten it down as best as I can, and you know, we'll see what happens. If it falls off later, it's just a fender. It's not that big of a deal. Right. Tighten this one down as well. This one looks like it mates properly. All right, let's use the torque wrench. Okay, we're supposed to be going to 19 foot-pounds. I feel like I'm gonna break this nut off because it's canted at such a weird angle. That's 19 right there. All right, so hopefully that holds and it doesn't shatter. All right, there we go. Same thing on this side. Okay, use the torque wrench. Okay, sorry about that. My camera battery appears to have died as I was torquing down those bolts. But anyway, you didn't miss much. I just torqued them down. What I wanted to show is, you see this gap here? You see how you can see light through that? I can probably show that a little better with this. You can see here that a little bit of light's coming through on this edge. It's tight down here and it's tight up here, but it kind of kicks out. I think that that's because of this upper bolt. I think it must not be, you know, probably this weld is kicking it out a little bit or something, although I would think that that would cause it to go the other way. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what's going on there, but it doesn't appear to be precision machined so that you get a tight, gapless fit there. I really don't think that it matters though, so no big deal. Just thought I'd point it out. Okay, final step of the assembly instructions. There is still quite a bit more to do after this step as far as initial machine setup goes. But final assembly step is the light kit and the engine guard. I don't have a light kit with mine. I guess I could buy one later if I need to, but I do have an engine guard that it ships with. There's a separate owner's manual for the engine guard, but let's see if we can just figure it out from this instruction set. Yeah, I mean, it looks like there's 4 bolts and 4 nuts, and it just bolts on. So let's give that a try. Okay, so this is the engine guard, and it appears to just go right here, and it just protects the top of the, you know, the gas tank and the engine assembly, so that if something falls on it, it's less likely to catastrophically end the engine. All right, looks like these are 9/16, so I've noticed that they're a little tight, the bolts going into the holes. So I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of screw them in with the socket wrench. I could probably hit them with a hammer or something, but I don't want to screw up the threads. It's probably just paint that's in the way. Not a big deal. Okay, now we can go over to the other side and attach the nuts. That's all right. My little short extension is fine. Okay, I think that's good. I should probably torque that down, but I'm not going to. I just made it, you know, pretty tight. It's not like it's a structural component or anything, it's just a guard, so. Okay, as far as I can tell, the machine is completely assembled. The only thing left to do is to sort out the hydraulic filter issue. I'll do that tomorrow morning. And also to go through the initial setup instructions. So the first thing to do is to add oil to the engine. So we don't need the hydraulic oil filter in order to do this. So I think we should probably just go ahead and do this. And then it's time to add the hydraulic oil, which I don't want to do until I've got the filter on. So let's add oil to the engine. All right, and these are the Honda engine manual instructions, and it looks like, boy, it's really windy today. Be good kite flying weather. Too bad I'm trying to film. So it looks like the oil drain plug is on the very bottom of the engine, and the fill cap and dipstick are just slightly above it, which is super annoying. So now might be a good time to install the Drainz It hose. And so the way this works is you take the oil drain plug down at the bottom and you just replace it with this hose permanently. And then if you need to drain it later on, you remove this cap on the hose, and that way you can drain it cleanly. I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but I decided to buy it. So now is definitely the time to install it, because if we filled it up with oil first, then I'd have to wait for my first oil change. So this is definitely the time to do it. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll put that on. Okay, so here's the actual engine. I have a drain pan down here, just because there's probably a little bit of oil in there, if nothing else. This is probably the drain plug, and that's probably the fill plug. So I'm gonna loosen this up. Requires quite a bit of work. That's what I figured, a little bit in there. Now the only problem with something like this is if you whack the bottom of the engine on something, you're gonna break this off. Right? And it's a soft cable, so you're definitely going to damage it if you hit it on something. So I'm actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put this cap back on. I'm not gonna install this. I think this is a bad idea. You've got a skid plate down here protecting the bottom of the engine. I'm gonna put my cap back on, my drain plug cap. I would rather not lose the oil in my engine by accident and not realize it. I would rather have the draining of the oil be messy. But you can definitely see that it's not the cleanest thing in the world when you're draining this, right? I mean, I'm getting oil everywhere. So there's a point to it for sure. I see what they're saying, but I'm gonna pass on that one. All right, managed to get myself a funnel. Let's see if it fits. Reckon that'll work. All right. So we've got 10W30, 1 quart. It takes 1.2, so we're gonna dump this whole quart in, more likely than not. Didn't seem like it had a whole lot in there when I opened the drain plug. All right. It's kind of cold out, so I'm just letting it drain. Check it with the dipstick. So I think we're good. If anything, it might be a little overfilled, but I think it's probably okay. So I'm gonna leave it like that. All right, it is Saturday, January 30th, and I had contacted the company, Iron and Oak, or their parent company these days. I think Iron and Oak is just like a brand or something. It was some other company that picked up the phone. But they sent me this AE10 10 micron Zynga Industries Incorporated hydraulic filter, or oil filter, I guess it is, I don't know. Anyway, they said it was supposed to come with the unit, and it didn't. So it took like a week and a half to get it. I had to call them back once, but it did show up, no cost to me, so that's cool. For my hydraulic fluid, I have STP automatic transmission fluid, ATF. This is Dexron 3 compatible. Okay, apply clean oil to new filter gasket. Do not use grease. Make sure the gasket is seated. Screw filter onto the base until contact. Tighten 1/2 turn. Refill and run system. All right, so I'm gonna screw it on. until it contacts. Okay, so there's contact. So I'm going to use caution here as my 1/2 turn indicator, and that's going to go to the back. Okay, right there. Now we should be ready to fill it up. Okay, let's fill this guy up. So I was reading the instructions. Normally they would want you to clean the strainer, but since this is the first time filling it, I'm not going to worry about cleaning the strainer. I'm going to assume that it's already been cleaned. Hopefully that's not going to get me in trouble. So the first thing we're going to do is remove the filler cap. I think if I set this in the vertical position, I might even be able to pour into this without a funnel, but I have a funnel, so I'm just going to use the funnel. And it takes 10.5 gallons of hydraulic fluid. I said earlier that I'm using STP automatic transmission fluid. It is Dexron 3 compatible. It's just what I happened to find at the store, and I believe each one of these containers is a gallon. Is that right? Yeah, 1 gallon. Okay, so 10.5 is what we're doing. Let's go ahead and fill her up. That's 1. That's 2. Let me just introduce the camera to my new neighbor. Ah, this is my new neighbor. He is the cutest little dude ever. His name is Finnegan, and I am officially his grandfather now. I send him home after we play. He's the best. All right, go ahead, have fun. The dog puts a stupid grin on my face every time I see him. I am not a dog person, but I love that dog. He is great. All right, that's 3. I believe that's 4, unless I lost count. I think that's 5. Okay, now I have another gallon for the 1/2 gallon, right? Because we need to do 10.5. But what I have is I have a 5-gallon bucket. So I'm going to save this for the 1/2 gallon for when we need to do it. And I'm going to empty the entire 5-gallon bucket in. Okay, so for this part, I bought a 5-gallon bucket of the same oil, and they only had one 5-gallon bucket. They're cheaper, right? They only had one of them, so that's why I had the 6 gallons in the 1-gallon containers. I would have bought 2 of them if I could, because they were quite a bit cheaper. But I asked the guy, I was like, how am I going to get this out of the bucket? And he said, well, you need a pump. I think they make electric pumps. I don't know how much they cost. I feel like they're kind of expensive. So I hope I don't live to regret this, but this is a hand pump, and I'm going to try to pump this entire 5-gallon bucket out by hand. It's probably going to be awful. So these hand pumps, they have little valves in them. You have to look at which way it is. I think it doesn't come with any instructions, but I think the valve that opens, like you hold it upside down and you can see that it's opening there. I think that's going to be the part that I dump in here to the funnel, all right? So I'm going to put the hose on the other end. Just get it on there, if it fits. I don't even know if it fits, honestly. It does not seem like it's very well designed. Okay, there we go. It's on, and there we go. Okay, so I think this end's going to go in the bucket, and that end is going to pump. Now, I have to get this open. I don't really know how this works either. A lot of firsts for me here. I guess I just pull. I'm gonna get, it looks like there's some oil there. I'm gonna get some paper towel and clean it up before I pull. Better safe than sorry, you know? Okay. Yeah, there's that diaphragm. Okay, cool. Ah, it twists off. Cool. That's a pretty cool design. There he is. Hey, little bit. What up, man? All right. Okay. It doesn't want to go up past a certain point. So I've put the bucket up on the log rack. I'm attempting to get a siphon going. I think I'm probably failing miserably. I don't really know. I think what's happening here is that the viscosity of the oil is so great that the siphon is extraordinarily slow. I think it's working, but it's like a drip at a time, right? Instead of flowing out like water. All right, I've been sitting here for a little while with it, and it's definitely dripping a little faster, but it's still not dripping very fast. So I think what I'm gonna do is this is a pour spout on the top, so I could actually tip this bucket over and pour it in there if I could control it well enough. Also, there are manual pumps that I could buy that are much higher quality than this piece of junk that I have here. I got this one for free. So Harbor Freight has like a manual transfer pump that'll probably work. I think I might try pouring it first. So let's give that a shot. Ooh, this is a terrible idea. Let's see. Yeah, it's too full, and it's going to pour too quickly. It's going to overwhelm that funnel, I think. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go get a manual transfer pump. Okay, we're back from Harbor Freight, and I feel like it has gotten a fair bit colder since I've been gone. Okay, so what I did, they had a 5-gallon pail pump, but when I read the reviews, a lot of people said that it failed pretty quickly, like on the first use or the second use or something like that. So this is a Pittsburgh Tools multi-use transfer pump, and it was about $7. It's real cheap, and it gets stellar reviews. The flow rate is about 2.7 gallons per minute, so I figure that should be fast enough. Oh shit. That's not good. What the f— come on, man. Seriously? This is not what I would refer to as a high quality tool. It's leaking everywhere. I'm having to hold it together. Oh well. What was I expecting for $7 though, right? It appears to be a plunger, just like a hypodermic needle. It might be a little more complicated than that, but that appears to be the basic design. That bucket feels real empty now. I think I've mostly got it, so I'm gonna try to pour it the rest of the way. There we go. Okay. Glad to have that stage done. That was not fun. Okay, so now I'm gonna check the oil level. I'm pretty sure I have like another half gallon to put in, but I just wanna check the level. See what's up. It's reading as full, but I don't trust that. Yeah, it's reading as full. So, tell you what, let's prime it. Okay, so we're gonna prime the pump. And to do that, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna disconnect the spark plug. That way the engine can't fire up when we turn it over. And turn the fuel valve off. I believe the fuel valve is already off, but let me just double check. Choke, fuel. Oh, the fuel valve was on. Weird. I haven't filled it up with fuel anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, so this is the fuel valve right here, and on mine it came like this in the on position, so I'm just moving it back to the off position. They are also saying with the engine off, relieve hydraulic system pressure by moving the split control lever back and forth several times. I don't think that that's necessary considering it doesn't have any hydraulic pressure at the moment, but let's just... There we go. All right. Okay, so in initial setup it says push the valve control with one hand into the forward position. Pull the starter recoil grip at least 20 times so that hydraulic fluid has cycled through the pump. I guess they want me to hold that while I pull the starter, making sure that the spark plug is not connected. So, 1, 2, 19, 20. All right, and I'm going to cut this off. It's annoying me. Okay, this is pretty exciting. They're saying that the next step is to start the engine, reconnect the spark plug wire, start the engine, and use the control valve to extend and retract the wedge 5 times. Before I do that, I want to make absolutely sure that I put enough oil into the Honda engine, because I realized after I did it last time that you're not supposed to insert the oil dipstick. You're not supposed to screw it in when you're checking the fill level. So I'm just going to take it out. I'm going to clean it off. I'm going to put it against it without screwing it in. Okay, so that looks like it's about halfway full. I think I need to add a little bit of oil. Hopefully it's not overfilled. Spark plug back in. There we go. Okay, next step is going to be to fill it up with gas, which I have not done to this point. That should be enough to get it started. All right. There we go. All right, let's see if it'll start up. So, fuel on, choke on, speed, slow. Oh, it helps if I turn on whatever that is. What is that? That is, I don't know, some sort of a switch over there. Helps if I turn that on. Let it warm up. Was that 4 or 5? We'll do one more. Okay. Retract the wedge 5 times to remove air from the high pressure lines. With wedge retracted, shut off the engine. Check oil level again, fill if necessary. So I'm gonna make sure that it's nice and cold before I fill it. Give me a minute and then I'll check it. I don't feel any heat, so I'm just gonna open it up. And let's see where my line is. Definitely needs to be filled. It's not even at the add line now, so. Okay, we're definitely gonna pour some more in. Just gonna put the whole thing in. Okay, check it. Okay, we're just barely above the add now. Okay, next step is to grease the beam. So this is the beam here. This is the wedge, and the instructions say to grease the top and also the underside of the edges. So probably not the outside of the edges, but the underside of the edge and the top, where the wear pads touch. So in the instructions, they don't say which grease to use. So I took the liberty of calling up Iron and Oak or their parent company or whatever, and they said that what you want to do is you want to use white lithium multi-purpose grease. I found this CRC brand multi-purpose super white lithium grease at O'Reilly Auto Parts, just down the road from me. It's a 10-ounce tube. It costs like $5 or $6 or something like that. I don't remember. It was fairly inexpensive. So this is apparently kind of a controversial step. A lot of people think that, you know, on the forums and such, that you don't want to grease the beam, because if you grease the beam, it's just going to attract sawdust and stuff like that. So I don't actually, I've never operated a log splitter before. I don't actually know which one is correct. So I'm going to follow the instructions in the manual. I'm going to use white lithium grease, and we will see how effective it is. I will say that Iron and Oak recommends a different brand, but this stuff is actually kind of hard to find online. I think Ford's is the retailer that they suggested, and I don't believe that they stock the brand that Iron and Oak recommends anymore, or they didn't when I looked. So I feel like I saw it stocked like a couple of months ago, but now at the moment it does not appear to be. But anyway, this stuff will work fine. I did some research on grease. Not that I'm not an expert by any means, but there are many different kinds of grease. And even within like the category of lithium grease, there are many different kinds of lithium grease. So you kind of want to be specific. Multi-purpose is a specific style of grease within the lithium range. So, all right, I'm just gonna spread some on here. I have no idea how much of this it'll take. Just give it a bead. I probably shouldn't use my fingers, but that's what I'm gonna do, so. All right, that is probably too thick, but that's what I'm gonna go with. So we'll see how horrible that is for collecting sawdust. Okay, so one final note here. I'm a jackass. I think Tracy would corroborate that statement. I think I was really dumb for not wearing safety glasses when I turned this thing on, and also for the hearing protection. This thing's pretty loud, so I will attempt to wear these from now on. So the next step in my mind is, I think we're done with the initial setup, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna card all of these hydraulic lines and just make sure that I don't see any leaks, especially near the joints. I just wanna make sure that nothing's spurting out. Hydraulic fluid, even if you get just a, the manual is very clear about this, even if you get just a pinpoint hole from hydraulic fluid spurting out like a needle, it can cause blood poisoning and you can, die, I guess. So I didn't even know that was a thing before I bought these, but they recommend not checking for leaks with your hands because of that. they recommend checking for leaks with cardboard. So we'll go ahead and card it. Okay, so I got a little bit of a wet spot on the board, but I think that was a drip leak. I wiped it off and I couldn't really reproduce it unless I touched the cardboard to a certain place on the pump. So probably it was left over from when I splattered it everywhere. I mean, it just went everywhere before, so I think it's okay. I couldn't get it to spurt out or anything. I think we're done. I think the next step is to take it down to the wood pile and start splitting some wood. Let's do it. Okay, so this is going to be the Maiden splitting. Wow, that sounded kind of dirty, huh? All right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so that was the assembly of the Iron and Oak 30-ton bhvh3018gxt. It is a commercial duty vertical horizontal log splitter, 30-ton. So questions or comments, please do leave them down below the video. I don't have a purchase link for this, unfortunately, down there. I normally like to do affiliate links, but as far as I know, Iron and Oak doesn't have an affiliate program, so you know, I just bought this for myself. Nobody sent this to me for review or assembly or anything like that. I'm buying this strictly for personal use. As always, thanks for watching and please subscribe.